This PowerPoint presentation will give you an introduction of the DataPlus Mobile concept as a intuitive, we hope, and easy to use forms builder. We'll show a lot of the new features as well as some of the existing ones that have always been in DataPlus. And then, time permitting, at the end, we'll also run DataPlus Mobile live. Most of the screenshots that I'm going to show in the PowerPoint presentation are showing devices that run Microsoft Windows Mobile operating system. So these are rugged handheld field computers. So you can see a different concept. At the end of it, we'll actually run DataPlus Mobile for Windows 7, 8, and 10. So if you have a tablet or a laptop that you're taking to the field, you can also see what those screens look like on those tablets. Now, in addition to that, we also have 3 polls that I want to launch. So these are grouped questions during the course of the PowerPoint presentation. The reason for this is we're constantly trying to learn what our customers want in a field forms builder. What external sensors, if any, that you're connecting to, what features you want, what you're currently using. This type of information helps guide our company with the hardware and software products that we provide. So be expecting that. I think it'll actually be kind of a welcome break from some of the things we're doing, give you a few seconds to answer those polling questions. So I'd appreciate your participation in that as we go along. So with that, again, for those of you that are just joining, we have everybody muted today. We find out that if we don't, we get a lot of background noise and interference that kind of disrupts the webinar. If you have questions, we will have a Q&A session at the end, but we actually ask that you submit those with the questions panel that's on the GoToMeeting panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And I'll read those questions and address those at the end so everybody can hear everybody's question and what the answer is to those questions. So what the concept is with a forms builder, for people that want to go to the field and automate their field data collection, typically in the past they've been using pencil and paper data sheets and filling these out, or conceptually in their mind they have an idea of the data that they want to collect. So what we're going to do with DataPlus Mobile today is basically show you how to go from this to this, where you can see those same fields on a rugged mobile field computer. You can have drop-down pick lists, you can have error checking, you can read external sensors and things like this. So that's the direction that we're going with this. Again, we've had this product out for a couple decades now, and what we're talking about now is our latest release, DataPlus Mobile. The components of DataPlus Mobile consist of an application generator for your laptop or desktop PC. So typically, an agency or company will only buy 1 or 2 of these. So for this is kind of the guy that's generating the applications or the data sheets for everybody else, and then you can deploy a crew of 1 to many people out to the field that are running either the Microsoft Windows Mobile handheld license on their rugged field computer or GPS, or running the Windows license on a field tablet or laptop. So that's the application generator. It's used for creating your applications and customizing those specifically for your own needs. Now, we also have a DPC edit program for writing user programs. So while the DataPlus Mobile application generator gives you a nice, broad, intuitive, and powerful interface, we recognize that there's a lot of custom things that people want, such as custom calculations or user programs. So this DPC edit program allows you to write some custom code, and then you can check within your application when you want those custom routines to run. We also provide host communication software. So this is a software program that kind of rides on top of Microsoft Windows Mobile Device Center, and that's for Windows 7, 8, and 10 computers. And this allows two-way communication with your field device. So you can load the DataPlus framework onto that device. You can load multiple applications onto those devices. There is no limit. Think of your device and your applications as just a big file cabinet where you pull open the drawer and it's like you have a data sheet or an application in there for whatever you're going to be doing that day. So whether you're collecting fisheries data, doing some forestry work, doing some range work, whatever it is, you can have a specific data sheet residing on there and bring it to the forefront and start collecting data in it. DataPlus package also includes a data file editor and converter. This allows you to take the data that you've collected in the field and actually have it automatically processed into a file format that you want to work within. This can be a Microsoft MDB file, DBF file, ASCII files, which also result in Excel spreadsheet files. Some of the new things that we've done is we've added a shapefile conversion tool to that, and we can do mapped exports to OBDC as well. And again, the big difference, the new feature of DataPlus Mobile is our ability to run on tablets or laptops running Windows 7, 8, and 10, where previous to this version, DataPlus could only be run on Microsoft Windows Mobile operating systems. Okay, so again, I want you to look at this data sheet right here, because I'm going to show what this looks like on a screen in the application generator. So we have our header information at the top, which is our stand information, consisting of things like date, time, in this case the region and the forest, who's actually collecting the data, and things like this. Then there's some plot level data, plot number, plot type, size, etc. Then your individual tree data, which consists of the species, the height, the diameter, breast height, things like this, and then some more individual tree data beyond that. Now again, I recognize that a lot of you out there are not in the forestry industry, but I think if you just look at this, you can visualize your own data sheets and how you can transform those into electronic data sheets to run on your field computer. So this is a screenshot of the application generator, and you can see the different levels or hierarchies that we have within DataPlus. So you can create a stand and a plot level, tree, damage to that tree, and then this one here has some additional wildlife fields and comments fields. So very intuitive design, we believe. You have these icons down in the lower left-hand corner that take you to these categories for doing error checks, specifying data entry, and then they're also available up near the top and middle of the program as well. So DataPlus is designed for non-programmers, so with people with just average computer experience can sit down and create their own field forms and have a very powerful tool in front of them to do this. So going back to the same level of showing this forestry example, DataPlus Mobile allows you to have up to 5 data levels. Each can have 26 branches for each level, and in each level you can have 25 columns of data. In fact, let me go back to that screen. So these are different levels. So in this example, stand is a level, plot is a level, tree, and damage. So we have 4 levels right there, but in the plot level we only have 3 branches, and we're now allowing for 26 branches in any of those levels. So you can really build some big, powerful applications within the program. Something else that is in DataPlus to help you streamline your field data collection is you can have keyboard, touchscreen, or external device input. This external device input can be from either GPS receivers within the handheld or external GPS receivers, laser rangefinders, electronic scales, barcode scanners, digital calipers, any device that has Bluetooth, any sensor that's reading and transmitting a Bluetooth signal, as well as multi-parameter water quality sensors as well. So in a lot of cases, this can really automate your field data collection by connecting directly to these external devices. Another powerful feature within DataPlus is our error checking programs. Now, for every field that you have within DataPlus, for example, in this screenshot, we're looking that forest is highlighted. So we have error checking files that are looking at that forest value. So you can highlight any column within there and dictate the error checking that you're doing on that column. Now, some of the types of error checking that we're doing here are minimum and maximum range checks, list checks, error checks related to another column, and that's the example we're looking at. For example, if we're looking at the U.S. Forest Service, as you know, they have a bunch of forest regions across the United States. If we're looking at forests, the forests that we're checking on are specific to that region. So this is an example of an error check within that field that is related to data that is in another column. So if somebody enters region 1 for the region that they're working in, we're going to be error checking on forests that are specific to that region. So the only forests that can be entered in are ones that are exclusive to and specific to that region. So that's an error check that's related to other columns. You can also have custom user error check programs that you can run, and we can also do missing data checks within DataPlus. So you can have missing data checks run when you exit a level, when you advance to a level, or even on a line or column change. It can look to see if you're missing any data in there. So a powerful feature to make sure you don't leave this site missing any data. Now, we've also implemented a lot of features to make data collection in the field a lot quicker and more efficient. So we've implemented these data entry features using the same logic where you would key on a specific field. So in this example, we have the column date highlighted, and you can go up to the auto data entry type that's in the red circle there, and you can click a drop-down box to have auto month, day, year. So when it gets to that field, it knows that it's going to automatically grab the date off the internal clock, load it, and automatically advance you to the next field. Now we can do the same thing with time as well, where it grabs the time off the internal time clock. Other features to make data collection a lot quicker in the field is copying data forward. For example, if you're working in a stand of lodgepole pine, or you're a fisheries biologist and you're sampling a lot of largemouth bass, a lot of times these occur and are being done in groups. So to speed that data process up, you can have a copy data forward where from one line to the next it copies that same cell information down. Now if that happens to change after entering in 25 largemouth bass, all of a sudden you're doing some black crappie, you can just hit the left key, move back to that field, put a new entry in there, and it'll start copying that line down for you. Now we can also auto increment values from the cell above. So if you're counting and keeping track of information, that's also a data entry option that comes up. You can preload constant data into your field forms. And for a lot of you scientists that are conducting investigations, we also have a random number generator that can be put in those columns as well. So just a few of those many features that can be used to streamline your field data collection. Now, other features to customize your applications are you can have a choice of how that data is displayed on your screen. We have three options. We have what we call a line display, a line-align display, or a virtual display. And I believe the next screen that's coming up is going to show those different examples and how they look on one type of handheld. Now you can also choose single or double line prompts. You can show columns on subsequent screens. So you might have a data sheet that has 25 columns in it, and there's a column on the far left side that's carrying some very important information. You can actually carry that column with you, so no matter where you're at within that data sheet, it's always displaying the information from that column or columns. You can have view only or hidden columns, custom help messages for each column. A really nice feature if you have a lot of summer hires or technicians that are inexperienced working with you. So whenever they advance to a specific column, you might have some small prompts that are kind of cryptic, but at the bottom of the screen, it will actually tell them what to enter into that column. So that can be very helpful in the field as well. And it's easily formatted for different size of screens on different handhelds. Okay, at this point, I want to launch one of our polls. So this particular one that I'm launching, we want to find out what your current forms consist of. So the question that we're putting out there for the group is, what are you currently using to collect field data? Pencil and paper, Microsoft Excel worksheets on a GPS or field computer. I even included our old DataPlus Professional forms builder because we have so many of those out there, or something custom, maybe something that you've built up in-house. And I do have another category thinking that I couldn't possibly have explored all the realms of these. So we'll give that a few more seconds. Then we'll close that and make it visible to everybody so you can see how all of your colleagues are voting on this. Okay, so I think that's been long enough now. Let me close that, and I'm going to share that with everybody. And I apologize, half the reason for stating that is walking myself through what I need to do to click on the items to make this visible in front of you. Okay, so that's currently what we have today. Very valuable information to us. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I'm going to hide that now and advance on through our slides. Okay, so we talked about the three different ways you could set up your screen. So these are all showing the Juniper Systems Allegro 2. And what the different screen types look like. So starting from left to right, this is what we call a line display. So no matter how many fields you've set up, with this type of display, it tries to position as many of those as possible on one screen. And then if you can't, you just either cursor left or, cursor right or down, and it advances you to the subsequent screens that are showing the rest of your data sheets. So naturally, the smaller the fields and the smaller your abbreviations, the more you can pack on one screen at one time. Now the middle screen is a very similar concept of this. This is what we call a line align. Typically used when people just have a few fields of information, generally in their header or at the top of their data sheet. So in this case, they just had three fields: who the recorder was, what feed ground, and what the date was. Now this other on the far right is what we call a virtual screen. And the best way to visualize this is if you're looking at an Excel spreadsheet on your computer, but you have a small 4x4 or 5x5 window that moves around within that data sheet. So you can always see as many lines as you can fit on that screen and as many columns. And as you press the enter key or the right arrow key, it just keeps shifting that screen right or down within that data sheet. So that's called a virtual screen. See if we can get this to advance. Okay, we talked about having custom column prompts. So to set those up on your field computer, you just go to the first step you would do is go to the screen define, and there's a checkbox for having custom help messages. And then you go to the column display, click on a specific field. In this case, you can see that within the wildlife branch, the parameter or the variable code is highlighted. And then that brings up this column display, and you can type whatever message that you want to appear in there. Now, careful observers will see that on my field unit to the right, I actually made a change on a subsequent version of this, and instead of having T equals threatened, I had etc. on there, just something to get the concept across to the field user of the type of data that went into that. So that's how you set those up, and that's how they would appear on the field computer. Now, we also recognize there's a lot of people using devices out there that don't have full keypads, or sometimes even any numeric keypad on the device. So within the DataPlus Mobile setup, we have a preferences option where you can specify up to 4 levels of touchscreen support. Touchscreen ignored, so for people that have full-blown keypads, maybe it's raining a lot, they don't even want to touch the keyboard at the touchscreen at all. And then touchscreen, setting the touchscreen to move to other fields or to bring up data validation for a particular cell. Touchscreen only available for DP edit actions. And then options 2 and 3 plus the touchscreen buttons for all function keys. So within DataPlus Mobile, to bring up pick lists, to advance in branches, or to go back to a specific branch, we actually use function keys. So for people that have tablets or devices without those, we actually list some virtual function keys across the bottom of your screen, and you just tap on those to activate these different DataPlus Mobile actions. Now, some other features to customize and streamline your data collection is some data flow control that we use. We have jump tables that allow movement to specific columns based on data from other columns. And again, column searches and missing data checks. We also employ something similar to jump tables called branch control, which is a brand new feature within DataPlus that we'll show some examples of in just a minute or two. Okay, I want to launch another poll to help us collect some information from you. We'll do this quickly and then move on. This one, like here, I just want to find out from our group what kind of data from external sensors that you can see yourself using or that is very important to you. So let me make sure we have that poll up there. Yeah, so this thing is basically saying I would like to accept data from the following user, from the following external sensors. And I believe I have this set up where you can actually make multiple choices. So again, I'll give you just a few more seconds to fill that in. That'll help us know what we do with our documentation and setups within DataPlus Mobile. And then we'll go on. For those of you in our polls that are checking the other category, if you wouldn't mind on some automatic follow-ups that this GoToMeeting software is going to send to you, if you could just specify in there what other types of sensors or external devices you want to connect with, that would be very helpful. Okay, I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to share this information with everyone. Now, not surprisingly, GPS is the most popular. It seems like people want to build that in all of their applications now, and we have made that much easier for you, which will be the next thing that we're discussing here in DataPlus. So let me hide that, and we'll go back to looking at our PowerPoint. So nice transition into discussing GPS. In the past with DataPlus Professional, you were able to read your GPS data into your branches within your application, but it was a little bit more involved. We've greatly simplified that in DataPlus Mobile. So for those of you that want to implement GPS data within your DataPlus Mobile application, there's a few different ways to do it. We now have a GPS tab that you'd click on, and it brings up a screen similar to this one, where you can check boxes that specify that the application requires GPS. In other words, we're not going to let you advance from that field unless it has a valid latitude and longitude. Allow GPS status information to come in. Require that your GPS is a differential GPS, and require 3D positions. You can set a minimum number of space vehicles that need to be visible, a max dilution of precision can be selected, and you can also use some of this data and check a box to make this application specific waypoint file, so you can use this for navigation if you want to. Now, it's not showing it on this screen, but when you're collecting GPS data, you have three options. You can collect it as a point, a line, or a polygon. Now, if you're collecting a GPS point, that data can be included within the branch as it is in this example. So if I include GPS as a point, there will be a box that says include in branch, and it'll automatically bring up a latitude and longitude field for you, and you can position those wherever you want within the branch. Now, you can also collect the spatial data to an external file. In other words, it's not included in that branch record. This is something that happens automatically if you're mapping a line or a polygon. So if you're mapping a road or a stream as a line, you can set it up so it logs a point automatically, and you can specify a distance or a time, so you can have it logged automatically every 5 seconds, every time you've moved a meter, and that same thing applies for a polygon. Those data are always logged to an external file. With the GPS point data, you can have it logged to an internal or to an external file. Okay, enough on GPS for right now. Let's advance through this. Oh, I passed a screen. A brand new feature within DataPlus Mobile we call locks and blocks. So with locks and blocks, you can actually prevent the program from moving into a different position that we call blocks. For example, you can block access to all children if data is present in this column. Now, when we're using the terminology of children, if we look over here at our hierarchy, damage is a child to tree, tree is a child to plot. So that's what we're talking about, child blocks. Sibling blocks, we have 3 siblings in this program. Tree, wildlife, and comments are all siblings, and children to plot. So we can go down to the sibling blocks, and we can block access to different siblings if there is certain data that's present at different places in our program. Now, we also have this lock feature where we can lock column data if any child data is present. So if I enter some tree data, then I can basically lock a column of data within plot if there is any data within tree. And we can also do the same thing with damage. If you enter damage about a specific tree, then we can lock that column so it can't be changed. So what that's doing is saying, hey user, I've entered some data in a lower level that's specific to this column or to this tree. I don't want you to exit back out and make a change to that tree, like change to the species, because there's associated data that's specific to that. So this is what locks and blocks do, and it's a brand new feature within DataPlus by user request. Now, we also have a new auto store feature within DataPlus Mobile, where you can automatically store data in one column based on data in another. So in this case, we're looking at, you'll see that species is highlighted over in the wildlife portion of our hierarchy. So if somebody enters a species, say number 2 is bald eagle, then conifer automatically gets entered in this data 1 field over here. If they enter moose, then there's another value that's being entered in that. So this is what we call an auto store feature. Now this is one that I really like and have used quite a bit. There's actually a lot of application for it. This is what we call a branch control feature. So again, you would highlight a column, in this case tree, and depending on what species is entered, so in this case if we look at tree species, it's a character field, and there's DF that was put in there, which I believe is for Doug Fir, then the column tree is left, tree total length is skipped, tree merchantable height is skipped, and tree DBH is skipped. However, if any other value is entered in species, then these values are required. I was recently working on an application for elk trapping, and basically the user wanted to collect additional data only if it was an adult female elk. If it was anything else, a female juvenile or a female young of the year or a male, then it just skipped over those fields. So that's a new and easy way to utilize the branch control feature. Now we realize that there's a lot of different displays and handhelds out there. So DataPlus Mobile automatically adjusts to different display sizes. So this is showing the Juniper Systems Archer 2 as a portrait display, and the Allegro 2, which is a landscape display, and basically how those data sheets look in each one. Now we talked about one of the programs that was available in the DataPlus Mobile package is DataPlus Host. So it allows your integrated communications between your mobile device, be it a Windows Mobile or more standard Windows Mobile. It's an overlay to Microsoft ActiveSync and Windows Mobile Device Center. Allows file transfer back and forth, and it can run in the background unattended. This is a screenshot of what DataPlus Host looks like. It's a little bit different than we were using with DataPlus Professional. DataPlus CE Host didn't have some of the tabs that we have here. So if you're communicating with a mobile device, you'd click on this mobile tab, and it gives you the ability to install DataPlus to your mobile device, send the application, send and receive data. We've always had the ability to preload or send data to a mobile device as well. So if you want to preload data that somebody updates out in the field, you can do that with the send data. So depending on how they're working, you click on the appropriate tab at the top. For example, let's say somebody wants to send the application to a flash drive. So you'd click on this removable tab, click Send App, and direct that application to a flash drive, so you could take that flash drive, plug it into the side of your tablet, and then copy the application off of that onto DataPlus on your tablet and run it. So that's what the new tabs are along the top of this in DataPlus Host. Now it always shows you your current activity too, so it shows you what you just recently did. Now all of this information is logged, so that helps us troubleshoot it too. So if there's ever any communication issues or whatnot with DataPlus Host, you can actually send us this current activity file and we can see what's going on with that software. So it's a nice troubleshooting tool for the staff at Electronic Data Solutions. Now we also mentioned DPC Edit for people that want to write custom user programs to use within their DataPlus program. This is an example screenshot. So the best way to describe these is they're C-like user programs for calculations, reporting, data manipulation, etc. And you can choose when and where these are run within your application by checking some boxes in your DataPlus application. So that's how those run. I want to launch our last poll right now, and this is about future hardware use. So the question is, I use or plan to use the following hardware for my field data collection, again, just to help us get a line on where people are going, whether it's rugged field computers, GPS and tablets, commercial tablets, rugged laptops, or commercial laptops. So we'll give you a few seconds to address that. This is probably one of the most important polling questions that we have on there. I think every now and then we see a little bit of a shift in user preference as far as hardware goes. So kind of let that go for a bit. Again, I can't thank you enough for your participation in these polls. So I'm going to close that right now and share the results. From a company that deals a lot with rugged field computers, GPS, or tablets, it's kind of good and rewarding for us to see that there's still a strong preference for that kind of technology. Okay, I'm going to hide that. And advance along. Okay, well, I wanted to show a little bit of the pricing on here because this is probably one of the most popular questions that comes up. You can see with our package pricing, we have a DataPlus Mobile package for Windows Mobile. So why we're differentiating between a package that includes a Windows Mobile license and a regular Windows license is that's the reason. Is the licensing is totally different between licensing it for Windows Mobile or licensing it for Windows 7, 8, and 10 handhelds. Now you can also buy additional Windows Mobile license, additional Windows licenses, and then we have some other packages that are what we call field kits for both Windows Mobile and standard Windows as well. Now what we're running for existing DataPlus professional users is we have a, till the end of this month, we have a discount for people that are transitioning from DataPlus Professional to DataPlus Mobile. Now we're also have support options, different levels. For everybody that buys DataPlus Mobile, the first 90 days of tech support is free, whether it's over the phone or via email. For application developers, we have a different level of support. So those that are actually creating and building applications, this gives you pretty much instantaneous response time. We also have a package for end users and then a per incident support as well. Now these programs are really beneficial for people that want immediate access to technicians and service people that are addressing those. In the end, of course, we'll always answer your questions. It just may not be as quick for those that actually purchased support. Now we can also contract with people to create your DataPlus Mobile application. Some of you don't even want to bother with doing this yourself. We can do it for you, but the advantage is that you still have control over that. So we can create it, send it to you, and you can add or delete columns, change error checking, pick lists, things like this. So the power is still in your hands with the forms builder to modify those applications. The other thing that we're going to be doing going forward is going to be creating a library of DataPlus applications and putting those on our website. So we'll have categories for fisheries, wildlife, forestry, range, different types of applications out there that you can take and download those for free and kind of use those as a template or a way to get started creating your own DataPlus Mobile application. So look for those coming as well. So we're going to have that in a library and we'll advertise where that's at on our website. Also just wanted to show you that we've had DataPlus out for a long time and we have well over 1,300 licenses sold. There's just kind of a sampling of some of the people that are currently using our DataPlus Professional software. So we have a lot of references out there that we can provide to you if you're looking around. The other thing that I wanted to introduce is we have a blog that's that you can sign up for. The blog is called To the Field and Back, and you can access that on our website or through a link. But what we started doing is at least once or twice a month, we'll have a DataPlus Mobile topic on there. I have an example screenshot of one where the most recent one that was put out there was implementing GPS data in your DataPlus Mobile application. This was part 2 of 2, and this one was specifically for collecting line or polygon data to an external file. So future ones, we've got one coming up that we're going to post is on interfacing with laser rangefinders. So for people that want to do position offsets or just distances, or maybe they're calculating tree heights or telephone pole heights, things like this. And then we'll also be doing another one on our branch control feature. Another very valuable asset is when you download either a trial or a sold version of DataPlus Professional, is it automatically creates an electronic documents folder within your DataPlus. And there's 5 or 6 documents in there. To me, one of the most critical for new users is the DataPlus tutorial. The DataPlus tutorial in a series of lessons takes you through creating a basic application, selecting data entry options, defining screens, creating basic error checks. I believe there's now 8 or 9 lessons in our DataPlus tutorial that go through step-by-step detail of how to do these different processes. So by all means, reference this document, whether you're just trying out DataPlus or you're a veteran user. And speaking of trying it out, you can download a free trial version off of our website. This is the link to it, electdata.com/downloads. Basically, the trial version of DataPlus is exactly like the purchased version, except for it's going to limit you to just 10 lines of data and 10 iterations of testing it. And don't be leery about creating an application in the demo version, because if you do decide to purchase it, you can take that same application and always provide you with are the registration and authentication codes, and that basically activates what you already have on your computer. So by all means, please visit our website and download your trial copy of DataPlus. Lastly here, before we get in a quick run through on the computer, I just want to do a little bit more introduction about electronic data solutions. Next year, we're going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary. So it's kind of quite a milestone for a small company to be in business 30 years. In addition to what we've discussed, we provide professional GIS services, specialize in providing the hardware and software tools to mobilize field crews. We provide water and weather monitoring instrumentation, vector control hardware and software solutions, unmanned aerial survey products and services, software development, rental equipment. This consists of rugged tablets, field computers, and GPS that can all be preloaded with DataPlus, our wetland delineation software, Trimble TerraSync, Esri ArcPad, and then repair services, technical support, and training. I do mention we are an authorized Trimble Navigation Repair Center. We're an Esri Gold partner, and so we can do technical support, training, and repair on all of these products. Okay, what I'm going to do now is leave the PowerPoint, and for those of you that are still with us, I'm going to try and briefly just move through some DataPlus applications and show you a screen that you might see if you are running those applications on a tablet or a Windows laptop in the field, and then we'll have some brief QA/QC. So let me find my DataPlus Mobile, and we're going to be running DataPlus PC. Okay, so if you were running a tablet or a laptop in the field, of course you're going to have a much larger screen than users of the smaller GPS devices. So this is what the main screen of DataPlus Mobile looks like. So I have these icons for data, applications, setups, activating my GPS, getting help, and then exit. Now the screen will always show you what the current application is that you have loaded. If you want to grab another one, you just simply would tap on Apps. This little dialog comes open where you would select an application. And then you have a list of all of the different applications that you want to run. Let's stick with this very simple one right now. So we'll just say OK, it loads it and compiles it. And then I would go click on data. And in this case, I just want to collect data. I could create a new file, or if I'm just stopping for a lunch break, I can open an existing one. So if I create a new one, we'll just call this webinar. And it comes up and it just prompts me for the information. You can see that it automatically grabbed the date. And then I'm going to tap on this virtual F5 key to advance down into the data collection portion of this application. So you'll see I've preloaded data automatically, where it automatically says gate 1. By far and wide, females are more prevalent, so it automatically puts an F in there. I can show you the drop-down lists. So I can only enter A, J, or Y in there. I can hit the drop-down list and click on those, or I can just simply brought up my virtual keyboard on my tablet and put an A in there. Now you'll see when I enter A in there that it's going to prompt me for information specific to adult females, like what age class they're in. You'll notice on the subsequent line we put in there that if I put a male in there, it's going to totally jump over this adult female thing and go right to recapture. Now in this study, obviously most of the animals are not recaptured, so to speed time along, it automatically defaults to N. These are some ear tags and information, blood tube, things like this that they're collecting. Now you can see the next one, it automatically increments the gate, puts female in there. In this case, we're going to say no, we've actually captured a male in here. It is an adult, and you can see that it jumped right over that adult female column because I used the branch control feature to say, hey, I only want access to this column if sex equals F and age equals A. So you just keep moving along there, entering this code information, and you can see also if I put female and juvenile, it does the same thing. It skips that column. So just an example of a lot of tools that can be utilized. Now you also see that our custom help messages that come up, that no matter what screen I'm on, I see this custom help message that explains what I'm after there. Left ear tag number. So the technician would just look at the tag and key in what's off of it. Right ear tag number, same thing. And so on and so forth. So that's what the data sheet looks like running on a tablet or field computer. I'm going to exit out of here. So we'll tap on the F4 to exit. Oh, and this, there's some fields that are actually required entry. So let's fill those in first. You know, there's a lot of them are. So say we're just going to exit it without the missing data checks and say yes. And one more time. Okay, so that was DataPlus. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to go down to the question pane on here. And okay, it looks like we've got some in there. So the first question is there an undo function available to prevent overwriting existing data? We don't have an undo function in there, but I believe in DataPlus Mobile that we can lock that column as soon as data is entered into it. Yeah, I shouldn't say I believe, so there is a lock feature that you can use for each one, that once the data goes in there, somebody can't scroll back up through it and change that data unless they've checked a user override function. So that's how we're handling that part of it. I hope that addressed your question. If I'm not addressing your questions in enough detail, please send me an email and just say, hey, this is what I really meant. How does this work? So I hope address that. I'll give you a few more minutes. People might just be thinking of some. I don't know if I just covered this in such explicit detail or what. Okay, we have another question. Possible to still use CSV to dpp.exe or a way to bring in a previously collected data into the app? Yes, yeah, you can preload data into that app. That feature is still there and still works the same way. Now, in addition to being able to preload data in your app, kind of tip our hat on something else that we're working on that will come out in the subsequent release is we'll have a data check-in, check-out feature that are really common in GIS software. So if you're using this DataPlus as kind of a way to update your features and attributes within a GIS or with any program, you can more easily check data in and out and take it back out to the field and just update it as opposed to collecting new data associated with it. So that'll be a check-in, check-out feature. Okay. Let me see if there's any new questions. Okay, how does ODBC for lookup lists work? And I've got to admit, that is such a new feature, I'm not even sure. I'll research that for you. I've got your email address and contact associated with that, so I'll find that one out and send that to you. I apologize for not knowing that right off. But it is a brand new feature and honestly one that I've never used. Okay. Let's see if there's any more questions, and if not, we'll just wish you all a good day and sign out on here. Well, here's one. Is there data synchronization if data from the same plot or area are collected on two devices? That's something that we don't do in DataPlus and would have to be handled by you with the processed data. So as you download it and bring that into your database or spreadsheet, you could utilize your own tools to see if data is repeated between those two devices. We're not cross-checking that at all. One thing I will mention about our licensing, though, is that the data that comes back in actually has some information associated with that file that's unique to the license on the mobile device that's used to collect that data. So that's one way you can use to differentiate data that's collected on two different field devices, is it carries that tag associated with the license number with it. But as far as any synchronization of the same data, that's something that you would have to do with your own software. We're just providing you with the tools to create the app and bring in the data. Okay, another question, whoops, I got such a small window of these. Okay, we addressed that one. I'm sorry, this tool within GoToMeeting is so. How do new export formats work? When you're setting up your data conversion in DataPlus Mobile, you now have 4 or 5 boxes to check of how you want that data to be processed. So if you want the data to come across in a shapefile format, you would check a box for that. If you want it to be converted into an MDB file, there's a box to check for that. And when you check those, there may be subsequent setup information associated with that. So that's all part of new enhancements that we've done to the DataPlus conversion setup within that. And in fact, if you want to download a demo version, I believe the tutorial now actually has a section in there as an example showing how to do those new export formats. Okay, I'm scrolling through these questions to see if I missed any. Okay, how do ODBC, okay. Yeah, we'll address the ODBC ones in an email specifically to you. I'm not sure myself. And based on the time, I better shut these down. My boss gave all of us a warning that we've been getting a little bit long-winded on these webinars. So if you have additional questions, please email those to me.